All right, and welcome once again to The Light. And I am so happy to have my special guest here today, my brother Kaleem Shabazz, who is a councilman in the city of Atlantic City and also president of the Atlantic City chapter of the NAACP. I've asked him to be here today more so as the president of the NAACP, but he may want to chime in as councilman as well. Today we are talking about the news as it pertains to the black community with COVID-19 and coronavirus, and he's going to give us the perspective of the NAACP of Atlantic City and also for some of his constituents. Just want to remind everybody that this particular interview is made possible by a grant from the Center for Cooperative Media out of Montclair State University, and we thank them for the information that they have given us to conduct these interviews and other forums and things that we've done in the past. With no further ado, help me welcome, like I said, my brother Kaleem Shabazz.
Good afternoon, Brother Tyler. It's always a extreme pleasure and privilege to be with you. I am honored to be your guest. And as I said before, we went live. I am an admirer of the work you do in media. And the time that we live in today, we need all the accurate information that we can get to people so people make good life decisions. That's what we're about at the Atlantic City branch of the NAACP. Even though we're getting ready for our 2022 National Convention, I'm very proud to say we're going to host, first time in almost 70 years that the National NAACP Convention has been in Atlantic City. Even though we're working very hard to make sure that's a success, we're dealing with our everyday issues and hopefully in a very serious and pragmatic way to make us successful.
Thank you. As always, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me because, as I said at the top, you wear at least two hats, that of Fourth Ward? Third Ward,
Atlantic City. Yes,
Third Ward Atlantic City Councilman, and also president of the Atlantic City chapter of the NAACP. So I'm thankful for any time that we get just to shake hands or elbow bump.
Elbow bump.
But yes, so but seriously, we do want to discuss COVID-19 and coronavirus. In my latest article for Atlantic County Magazine, I wrote that we're finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and so I don't want people of color to be left out when the all clear is done because of bad information. And so I know that you have worked with local doctors and people in the science community, as you already have. And this is one of the reasons why I went to you. I can remember when I was at the Red Cross, you got me on board when you were working with Frank Blee. And I forget the health topic that you were championing then. But you also brought me on board with, and now I can't think of her name, the young lady who's in charge of the prenatal task force. And
name escapes me. I know you're talking about you.
Yeah. But I've known you to always be on the forefront of the health topics as it relates to the black community. So I would say if there's any voice in the community that the people of Atlantic City can trust, it would be that of Kaleem Shabazz. I don't think that you would steer the black community, your constituents, or anyone wrong, because your record shows that you've always been right and in advance on the health issues.
Thank you. What I was working with with Frank Blee, my good friend, we put out for a couple of years the Minority Health Guide.
Yes.
In that Minority Health Guide, we highlighted some of the health indices and disparities that the minority community had. We talked about resources, doctors. We talked about how you could fight some of the things that Brother Tyler is plaguing us right now: high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, asthma. These are things that are plaguing us in Atlantic City and Atlantic County, really across the country. And that's really hurting us as far as COVID-19 and combating that. But what we're doing in NAACP, we're doing, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity, because we're doing a multiplicity of things to combat COVID-19.
Well, before you get into that, can I backtrack one moment, please?
Sure.
I apologize for cutting you off, because also part of your constituents are constituents who probably have the least voice in the community and don't vote, but are important, and that is our young people. So one of the things that I know is that many of the young people who have not been going to school for the past year were young people who took advantage or took the opportunity to enjoy free breakfast and or free lunch. And so can you talk to us about what the process has been like to continue that process for young people, students, to be able to eat in absence of going to school daily?
Well, that's one thing I think we can be very proud of in Atlantic City, Brother Tyler. There's been a system set up where people can go to the schools in their neighborhood and pick up lunches and breakfasts in a package. And that has been done. In fact, I'm going to see if I can get the number. There's a gentleman who is working now to give out free lunches on a weekly basis in a box that people can have access to. But in Atlantic City, ever since the lockdown started, since we went virtual, that has been happening. So even though hunger, unfortunately, is a problem, you see people standing in lines all over the country, all over the county, in Beta Field monthly when they have that. The mayor started a new event starting every Tuesday and Friday in the month of March. He's giving out 700 boxes of food, first come, first served in Atlantic City. That's for adults, but obviously children are fed there too. So we are very tuned in Atlantic City to the fact that people are hungry and that people need to be provided food. But I can report to your audience that the school system has been on top of that, and talking to the superintendent, they're going to continue to do that. But people can report and have been reporting. I'm right around the corner from MLK School, and I see them reporting to get food. So that's going to continue throughout the rest of the school year, and I assume that it will be in the summer too. Because some kids do go to summer school, and they might have to have a makeup session, but that's going to continue. That's an ongoing thing that the school board is committed to in concert with the community. I can't think of any person is against to making sure that youngsters still have food on a continuing basis. So that is happening. That's a plus for Atlantic City, and that's something that we are continuing to do. I just wish that we didn't have to do it. I wish that youngsters could be in school, that we could do that safely. And hopefully we're moving towards that day, maybe in the fall when we can go back, not to normal, because normal was not good for us, because normal, we had disparities and we had gaps and we were mistreated. So maybe
don't think I'm not going to talk to you about that. That's the other reason why I brought you here, because I know you would answer the questions some other people I asked didn't answer or wouldn't answer. But I don't want you. I know you do the whole show and won't leave me anything to say. But I did want to make it clear that our children are not going hungry, and that every effort is being made to provide for them so that they don't miss it. It's bad enough that they are missing out on their education somewhat. We want to make sure that they're not missing out on an opportunity to eat with dignity. And I'm not supposed to do this as a journalist, but as a native of Atlantic City, I do want to thank the mayor, the city council. I saw today where Mayor Small has said he is expanding food programs to try and address poverty and hunger. And to me, that is the mark of a leadership and a city council. Even though y'all don't get along, y'all going in the right direction.
Well, let me say this, Brother Tyler. On issues like that, there's no division. When it comes to helping people, when it comes to feeding people, when it comes to looking out for our seniors, because we had a feeding program that the mayor initiated and the council supported during the winter months for seniors. They were actually delivering meals to seniors who couldn't maneuver that good, didn't have good mobility. So basic issues the council is united on. Like the NAACP coming to convention, 100% support for that, because people realize that is something that needs to happen, and it's going to be to the benefit of everyone in the city. So there's always disagreements, even in families. We have disagreements.
Right.
Doesn't mean that we fall out.
Right.
But the basic things the family should agree on, and that's what we do.
Right. Well, I will say this. I just had a conversation with someone last night, and I explained that out of all the people who have been mayor in Atlantic City, I've known Bob Levy, Speedy Marsh, Lorenzo Langford, Mayor Ushry, a few more of them. I can't name them all because we don't have the time. And I've never talked to any of them that did not have the city's best interests at heart. Now, if you brought them together in the same room, they may agree on how to get there, but they all wanted the best for the city.
Absolutely.
That being said, let's move on. One thing I was curious about that I have not been able to get the answer to, and I'm hoping you can help me. Now, I'm told that every child in the city who did not have access to a laptop computer or a computer in their home had been a computer has been gotten to them, as well as Wi-Fi, so that they can continue their studies during this time. What can you tell me about that situation and how that proceeded?
Well, that's my understanding. That's what happened too. I know the school board and the superintendent made a very aggressive effort to hand out I think they're called Chromebooks or something like that,
right,
to the students. I know that did happen, and I can tell you now that there's an ongoing effort. In fact, when I say the NAACP education chair, a young lady named India Steele, who's a lawyer, is working now on a grant and on efforts to bridge the gap of people who don't have connectivity. So that's coming. You're going to be hearing more about that. But the school system has made great strides in making sure people got those kind of instruments so they could do their work. And I am, as everyone is, I'm very concerned about people falling behind. Like I said, even some youngsters were marginal or had issues even before COVID. So COVID impacted that. Not only here, not only in Atlantic City. People who don't travel, Brother Tyler, or don't move around, they don't have a scope or wider scope. They say Atlantic City is horrible and things happening in Atlantic City doesn't happen anywhere. I happen to know people all over the country, as you do, and I tell you that it's not very much different any place in the country. Obviously, if you have resources, no matter where you are, it's better to have resources than not have resources. As Pearl Bailey said, that great jazz singer, she said, "I've been rich and I've been poor, and rich is better." And she's right. So it's always better to have resources But I'm telling you that this COVID-19 has really done a number on America across the board, everywhere. And of course, to the degree that you have resources, you're better able to weather the storm. But still, even there, you see the mental health crisis that we're in. You see
Right.
people consuming alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, suicide rates going up across the board. So it's an equal opportunity abuse of this COVID-19. So we have to get through that. That's why we are encouraging people take the vaccine, take the vaccine, take the vaccine. That is our mantra in the NAACP. We're working with Atlantic Care. We're working with, as you said, African-American healthcare professionals on our weekly radio show on Tuesdays, 5 to 5:30, WHA 88.7, 100.3. I had to get that in there, Brother Tyler.
Right.
Encourage people to listen only because we're giving out information. We have Dr. Wilson Washington Jr., who's the health officer for the city of Atlantic City, a healthcare professional. He's on every week giving out information that is scientific and that's solid for public health. We also have
I'm sorry. I really hate to keep interrupting you. There's certain things that I have to get in. So one thing, the young lady who is working with you in education, if I could get an opportunity to speak with her at some point, that would be great.
I'll give you her number offline.
Yeah. Have you heard from your constituents or from members of the NAACP that their children or grandchildren are having problems with connectivity with regards to the digital divide that may be in our community?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I wouldn't be candid if I said that doesn't exist, but I'm saying it's being addressed. But again, if you don't have resources, then none of this is quick enough. And if you have resources, then you can move through it. So it is an issue. It is a concern. And I'll let you, I'll give her her information offline.
Right.
She will tell you, not only that, you open up another train of thought. What she is doing, Ms. Steele, is putting together a STEAM Zoom that we're going to do. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, to try to move our youngsters in a different situation. As you know, many of the jobs and careers that we're talking about right now in 2021, 5 to 10 years, they're not even going to exist because of the technology and because of things that are happening. The blue economy is something else that, so we are working and looking at that. And what the NAACP intends to do, Brother Tyler, is to be on the forefront of getting that information to our community, talking about the career opportunities, talking about the job opportunities, and trying to prepare our community for the massive changes that are coming about.
Okay. I have one more educational question, if you don't mind. And this, again, I guess you would have to put on both of your hats to answer this question. I want to set it up like this. A million years ago, when I was in high school, every year during the what's known as the Christmas break, I was trying the holiday break. Since you're a Muslim, I wanted to find another word during the holiday break. I like the
Christmas break.
Every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, I noticed that when I came back from break, there was always new students who just said after that short break, you know what, I'm done. I'm not even coming back. Because the 10, 12 days gave them too much time to think, I guess. I don't know. How concerned are you that some students in Atlantic City, after this layoff, may just say that they're done with school? And is the NAACP establishing some kind of campaign to reach these students?
Good question. Two good questions. Yes and yes. I am very concerned about people. First of all, I'm concerned about people who are already behind falling further behind. Then I'm concerned about people who are tottering on the edge, falling off. Then I'm concerned even about the better students losing focus and being discouraged. My older grandson is he's getting ready to get his master's in education administration. He's doing an internship in a school right outside Sicklerville. And he was telling me, because I was brainstorming with him, I said, maybe what we need to do is try to get most of the kids back in school for a summer session to try to catch up. And he said, I don't know, Pop. He said, because so many of the youngsters are not even keeping up with their daily grades and schedules, because a lot of times the parents aren't there,
right,
for work, or if the parents are laid off, they might have issues. This is really a very, very stressful situation. So yes, I'm concerned, very concerned. Here in Atlantic City, with that same thing, we have a lot of people unemployed. We have a lot of people underemployed. We have a lot of people stressed out. And again, if you don't have resources in going into before the virus, if you're struggling, if you're on a minimum wage job, if you're juggling 2 minimum wage jobs to try to pay bills, if you have multiple youngsters, and then this pandemic hits, that just exacerbates everything. So one of the things we're doing, as I said, is trying to get in front of this STEAM effort, this blue economy effort, and we're going to be talking, and I know it's not popular to talk about going to summer school because youngsters want to play. I get that. They want to be out. But I think we have to have some serious conversations about how do we catch these youngsters up? Because the real truth is, and Brother Tyler, you know this, the real truth is if we don't do something in a unified, systematic way, some of these youngsters will never catch up. And that means that they are subject, the females, unfortunately, to pressures, teenage pregnancy and earlier pregnancy. These young men subject to the lure of the streets because they don't have money, they got stress, and going from the school to prison pipeline, as they say. So there's a lot of real world issues that come about when you have a school system that's not operating at its maximum efficiency. And let me say this, it's not the teacher's fault, it's not the superintendent's fault, or even the Board of Education. Everyone is struggling mightily. Everyone, and I don't normally speak for people, but I'll say this, I can't think of one rational person who would have wished the situation of COVID-19 that we're in now. Everybody wishes it didn't happen, that we didn't, even the imperfect normal that we were at, people wish that we could have stayed there and tried to make improvements. So I said all that to say that, again, we're working on multiple fronts, but with other groups too, to make sure that we can catch our youngsters up. It's vital, because that's the future. You can't afford, even if you are a top-notch student, you can't afford to miss over a year of in-person instruction. You can't afford that. And all the other students who are not top-notch going down that hierarchy is problematic. So
yeah,
I think we are going to have to continue to keep working together, Brother Tyler, keep dialoguing and seeing how we can come up with best practices, because believe me, whether people have children or not, in the public school system or the charter school system or the religious school system or the private school system, this affects all of us. And that's what I think COVID-19 has shown us.
Right.
We're all in this together.
I think the one thing that I appreciate you for not pulling out a magic answer, but I think the one thing that you did say, which was gold, is that it's going to take a unified effort. Everybody's going to have to get on the same page and move forward. That being said, I just want to remind my listeners and my watchers, you are listening to The Light, and my guest today is one and only brother Kaleem Shabazz. He is the president of the NAACP Atlantic City chapter and also Third Ward councilman in the city of Atlantic City. Now we get to talk about vaccines and disparities, and I know you've been chomping at the bit. This is what I want to say before I allow you to speak.
Okay.
I know that people I've talked to have been distrustful of the vaccine. Mm-hmm. 100, keeping it 100% honest, I have two questions that I don't even know that you can answer, but I'll ask you to talk about them before we get into the heart of it. Thing number one, today is March 5th, 2021. Right. March 5th, 2020, black people could have been falling dead in the streets, and as far as I know, no one from the government or the general health community would have batted an eye, because we've had disparities in education, disparities in wealth, disparities in health long before March 5th, 2020. Mm-hmm. So one of my questions is, well, besides COVID, what changed that now all of a sudden they love black people so much? That's what makes people a little distrustful. Now, here's the part that makes me distrustful, because I've asked this question several times in several forums and I've not gotten an answer. And I'm sorry to put all this on you, so you're gonna have to be the spokesperson. Okay. I want to know, and I guess you can answer as a member, as the president of the NAACP, because, like I said, you are not in that group that I just mentioned. Mm-hmm. But here's my question for the people in the health community at large, saying we want black people to take the vaccine. What is the plan to close the wealth gap, the education gap, the health gap, post-vaccine and post-COVID-19? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Is that a valid question?
Absolutely. It not only valid, timely, relevant, and true. I'm gonna keep it 100. Those of us in politics, we like to give emotional, short answers because people are trying to get elected and trying to move people emotionally. But I try not to do that because that's dishonest and that's manipulating people's feelings.
Right.
We see people down there in Washington doing that all the time. Here's the real deal. The health community, and there's a couple of health communities when I say health communities. There's the general overall health communities. Then there's private, for-profit health entities and people. There's nonprofit health entities and people. There's public health entities and people. And then there's health academics. What do I mean by that? People who teach at schools and universities who are health experts. The question of disparities, Brother Tyler, and your audience has been around for a while, and people have been raising the questions that you just raised. African Americans and people who are allies about the disparities. Somebody said, well, Brother Shabazz, how come we're hearing so much about it now? We're hearing so much about it now because those people who have clear vision, who have light, borrowing from your topic, who have light, see that this pandemic absolutely threatens the whole world structure.
Okay.
I mean that we are in such a serious situation because of this virus, which, and you don't have to take my word, all you gotta do is Google it, turn on TV. There's cases all over the world. There are people dying all over the world. In addition to that, there's a whole new category of people they call long haulers, people who have had the virus, recover from the virus, and still have effects. There's a guy named Chris Como who happens to be a journalist. He's on TV. He's the brother of Governor Cuomo in New York. He had the virus. He recovered from the virus months ago. And he says, and I have to take him at his word, he says he has psychological problems. He's going to counseling. He says he has neurological problems that he still feels. He has all kinds of emotional concerns. This is his testimony about himself, so I tend to believe it.
Right.
I said all that to say that because of the seriousness of this condition, because it has caused us to close down our economy, just think about this. More than a year ago, if you would have told somebody that the Olympic Games would be postponed, that the Major League Baseball season would be halted and cut more than half, that the NBA would build a $200 million bubble to house their teams, that the football teams would not have people in the stands. If you told people that the Rose Bowl parade would be canceled, the Mummers Parade would be canceled, the Penn Relays would be canceled 2 years in a row. If you'd have told somebody that, they would say, "Bro, Tyler, listen, I like you, brother, and you're a good brother, but I think you're working too hard, man." But that's what happened. And we went from almost, like I say, 0 to 100. We went from 0 to 100 in a very short time. So that kind of crisis has caused people to see that we need to do something. That's why all the attention, that's why the shows, that's why the papers, that's why the seminars, that's why the speaking. People realize, again, that the disparities is causing, 1, African Americans, 2, Hispanics, and even American Indians to die at a higher rate. Why is that important? Because the society is all together now. The differences, we have differences, obviously, but in order for the society to work, we need every part to function. And people see that now. And we can't get past, that's why I'm pushing everyone to get the vaccine. In Atlantic City, if the Atlantic City economy is to recover, people have to have confidence that they can come, check into a hotel or go gamble if that's what they do, or in a way that's not going to impact their health. And that's real. And that's the same thing all over. People have to be comfortable to go to a movie, to eat dinner, to fly. So in order to do that, we have to have people healthy. In order to have people healthy, we have to have vaccinations. In order to have vaccinations, we have to have trust in the vaccinations. Should African Americans be hesitant? Yes. Should we disregard the history of the medical field with Tuskegee, with having doing operations on African American women without even sedatives or any kind of pain relief? We shouldn't forget that. That happened. That's history. They had this guy in Pennsylvania who did experiments on prisoners without their permission. So this has happened over and over again. But here's the point. We're at a point now of survival, and we're at a point now that we have vaccines that have been worked on by African Americans. That's a big difference, Brother Tyler, and I keep underlining that. I say that every week on our radio program. We have vaccines that have been worked on from the research to the experimentation, to the trial, to the end by African American doctors, epidemiologists, microbiologists, public health experts, all African Americans who have solid careers and who are working to help their families and the people, general public. So that's the big major difference. That's why people should have confidence. That's why I took my shot. I was in the paper yesterday, not because I wanted to be in the paper, but because I wanted to tell people and show people that I'm not just talking. I had my shot the 23rd of February is my second shot at Atlantic Care. I had my first shot a month before at Atlantic Care. And my wife had her shot. And my grandson is going to get his shot. And my daughter's going to get his shot. My brothers and my sisters have gotten their shots. So I'm saying that I'm not just saying some theoretical, philosophical thing about take a shot. No, I'm saying that Kaleem Shabazz is doing that himself. It's encouraging his family to do the same thing and encouraging his constituents. I'm sending a postcard as we speak now to the constituents in the third ward, showing me on the front, getting a vaccine shot and saying the shot is safe, accessible, and free. Please take it.
Let's talk about accessibility, and I want you to post, not postmark, but put a thumbtack in this, because I'm going to bring you back at another time to talk about this, because we're running out of time.
Okay.
We desperately need you to put pressure on your political family to develop and announce and share a plan to close those gaps post-COVID. But we're not going to be able to solve that right here, right now, in the next 15 minutes.
No, we're not.
I'm sure you understand the important. Like, we can take all the vaccines we want.
Right.
If those gaps are not closed, it's not going to benefit us.
Let me say this to you, Brother Tyler, from the jump. That's what the NAACP does. We advocate to close those gaps, and we have an agenda to close those gaps. We're working with several other organizations. I can say this: I just got off a Zoom meeting yesterday with the governor, Governor Murphy, talking about the same things that you're talking about. And I can say a couple things that are going to happen. One, we're going to continue to have increased vaccines in Atlantic City that people can get to at the Healthplex, at the Convention Center. And as this Johnson & Johnson vaccine ramps up, what I'm going to attempt to do is to have pop-up vaccine spots. What do I mean by pop-up vaccine spots? A friend of mine, Buster Soyce, who's a pastor in Somerset County, he has a big church. Buster vaccinated almost 3,500 people last weekend at his church. We can do the same thing in Atlantic City. Not at Buster Soyce Church, obviously, his church is in Somerset, but at Reverend Days' church, Reverend Days and the Fellowship of Churches, week before last, started vaccinating almost 1,000 people. Between the Fellowship of Churches and Hispanic Alliance, there's a sister named Sharice Pfizer, who is the Director of Equity and Inclusion in Atlantic Care, doing great work, working with the Fellowship of Churches, working with the NAACP. We're going to go out and touch people where they are and make sure they get vaccinated. I can report to you that in my district, a place called the Elliott House, they came out from not Walgreens, Rite Aid.
Yes, Rite Aid.
Rite Aid, and they actually gave people shots. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that anyone who wants a shot can get a shot, and not only that they can get it. If they have mobility issues, they can get it. If they don't have a car and they don't want to take public transportation, I can understand that. People are leery of getting on the bus because of COVID and all that. And that makes sense. I understand that.
Right.
But we're going to make sure that the vaccines are eligible. I can tell you now, before I got on with you, I had several of my constituents that called me, and I'm asking them for their name, their date of birth, and their phone number, and transferring them to Atlantic Care. And I can report to you, Brother Tyler, that everyone who has given me their name has gotten a vaccine.
And let's clear one thing up too while we're on this Zoom, and people may be watching on Facebook Live or listen on the radio. One thing that we both know and can both report: no one should be charged out of pocket.
Oh no,
1 cent for a vaccine. Now, depending on who they are, I think they may want to get some insurance information if you have it, but you do not need to have insurance in order to get a vaccine. Right. And I want to make that particularly clear.
I'm glad you said that, because there's going to be some scam artists that's going to come up to try to make money off this. There's no fee, and I put that in my postcard that I'm sending to my constituents, that the vaccine is free, accessible, and safe. There's no fee. If people take the your insurance information, as they might do at the health center, that's for federal funding, and that's for their record keeping to show that they're outreaching to the community. No one gets charged anything for COVID. If they have to take 2 shots, they don't get charged. If they take Johnson & Johnson 1 shot, they don't get charged. So I'm glad you said that. We got to keep saying that. And someone tells you that they want to charge you for the COVID-19, tell them to get lost, because that's not how it goes.
And also, if they want to charge you to get you on the list or to get you sped up, that is not how it works.
That's not how it works. I'm glad you said that. Not how it works. Not how it works. And anyone in Atlantic City who wants to get on the list, they can call me at 609-8, forgot my number, 609-957-0441. 609-957-0441. That's for Atlantic City only. And if they give me their date of birth, their phone number, and their name, their government name, whatever your legal name is, not Pookie.
Right.
He might be what they call you, but
right.
That's not going to work on this. And right now, it's for people 65 or older, or people who have underlying conditions. But as we roll out, that's why we're so adamant, and I'm so glad for this opportunity. As we go into March, April, May, there's going to be more vaccines and more people will be eligible to take the shot.
Brother Kaleem, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to have this discussion with me, to allow me to beat up the health community.
That's all right.
A little bit, but I don't think anything I asked or insinuated is unjustified or a lie.
No. If we don't tell each other the truth, Brother Tyler, we'll never make progress.
Yes.
Tell the truth.
Yes. So now here we are. What do you say to people who say, I just don't trust the vaccine, man. I just don't trust the vaccine.
You know what I tell them? That's a good question. I've heard that. And you know what I say? I said, brother or sister, it doesn't have to be about, I shouldn't say that.
Right.
I say, people, look at me. I'm a living example. And what we're going to do at NAACP, we're going to have some testimonials, other people who have taken the shot, different people, not political figures like me, not public figures, just average.
Right.
To say the same thing. My name is Muhammad Farrakhan. I've taken the shot. You should take it. My name is Sally Jones. My name is Mary Bellwether. I've taken the shot. You should take it. There are people, our neighbors, our friends, our co-religionists, our co-workers, who are taking the vaccine. Nothing wrong with them, and they're still going. I'm on my, I think, 9th day. No negative effects. Didn't miss. I teach at Stockton, as you know. Didn't miss a class, although the class is virtual, but I didn't miss a class.
Right.
Didn't miss my council meeting. Didn't miss my council committee meetings. Didn't miss my NAACP meetings. And I'm a more mature person in terms of age. So the myth that if you take the vaccine, something happens to you, that's a myth. I don't want to say it's a lie, because if you say it's a lie, that means people are intentionally saying stuff. So I don't want to put that on people. I will say It's a myth and it's untrue. And the proof of it is I'm living proof. I took the Moderna shot, 2 shots, last one February 23rd in Atlantic here.
Right.
So that's the proof. To say, what's the proof, Shabazz? I'm the proof, and there's others, not just me. There's many others.
Okay, and one thing I want to get to reiterate before we close down this part of the interview. Again, so as far as accessibility, besides the places that are listed on the New Jersey Department of Health website, you are committed through the NAACP to sponsor pop-up events where people can also get vaccines, and not only your constituents, but you're taking it upon yourself to help arrange vaccinations for anyone in the city of Atlantic City who can get you on the phone.
Atlantic City, yes. Yeah, I want to be clear on that, because I know you got listeners all over. I don't want people calling, beating me up. No, Atlantic City. And the reason I'm focused on Atlantic City is obviously I have my constituents in the 3rd Ward. I'm concerned about people all over, but I don't want to commit to something that I'm not able to do. Atlantic City.
Right.
Atlantic City.
Right.
But they are, I should say, Rite Aid is going to start getting vaccinations. Walgreens is going to get it. The convention center is still open.
Right.
And I know it's hard to get through. We're trying to get a phone thing. We're trying to do the pop-up. And the pop-up is down the road. That's not going to be next week. So somebody see me on the street and say, you want Brother Tyler's show on Friday, March the 5th, and the day is the 10th. Where's the pop-up, Shabazz? It's not going to happen like that. I wish it was, but we're working towards that as we move and as the vaccines increase, because we know that in order to reach a number of people to get vaccinated as we need, we can't just have people come to a spot, because it's not going to work like that. We got all of that.
Right. Well, people are concerned about not having access, or not older people.
Right.
Are I'm not going to tell you, but somebody in my family had to get me to help them set up their vaccination, because they're just not very literate with how things work online. And I, there have been a complaint or two about not being able to get through on the phone.
Brother Tyler, all over the state, it's the same complaint, and I hear it. That's why I said on NAACP, we're saying a direct thing. Atlantic City, call me, 609-957-0441. We take the date of birth, their first and last name, and their phone number, and we communicate that, and we have been having great success. We work with Reverend Days, and as I said, between Reverend Days and Hispanic Alliance, almost 1,000 people, and we're still going forward.
Is there anything you want to say about the vaccination process that I neglected to ask you, that people need to know? Because I want to spend a couple minutes discussing our sister Patty Harris and our brother Ralph Peterson Jr.
Absolutely. The only thing I would say is that please take the vaccine. It's important not only for you as an individual, it's important for the entire community. And this is what I told a person. I won't call their name because you might even know him. The person was talking about the vaccine and why we shouldn't take it and all that. And I acknowledged the person. I'm not even going to mention their gender, because I don't want to give a hint as to who they are, because it's not about personalities. It's about the bigger picture.
Right.
I told the person, you were right about the medical history. You were right about people being hesitant, but the part that you're not right about is that this is a highly infectious and communicable disease, and we interact so much as a society and as a world that we need to be protected from each other and for each other. So that's why you were wrong. If everybody lived in their own cave and they didn't have to interact, they didn't have to take transportation, they didn't have to go to meetings, they didn't have to go shop, anything you'll be right. That's not the world we live in, and we all know that's the truth. The second part I said to this person, Brother Tyler, I said, if you have a valid program, remedy, potion that will arrest this virus, then you should come up with it, because you'll be a billionaire overnight. And that person had to say they don't have that because they would. Not just a Atlantic City problem, not just a New Jersey problem. This is a worldwide pandemic. And I'm suggesting that the vaccine, washing your hands, distancing, and mask is a way to affect it.
Okay, and I will say this. When it comes to exposure, you and I probably have not worked a frontline job, and I don't know how long, but the face of frontline jobs, from hospitals to hotels to schools, are our faces right here.
Right, not only that, bus drivers,
all that.
Lift
drivers, everything. People of color.
Again, that's why I am so adamant that when people say don't take the vaccine, that they're working against their own self-interest. First of all, we're all human beings before we can get to color. But after we go to that, people of color, and someone was talking about this today on TV, majority of the minimum wage, low income, high interaction jobs are people of color. So
People
we
of
should
color.
be on the front lines. That's all the more reason that you're right, but that's all the more reason that we should be taking the vaccine.
There you go. His name is Kaleem Shabazz. And if you are in Atlantic City and have not been vaccinated, but you would like to get an appointment, you can call him. First of all, if you are computer literate, I would advise you to try and go through the standard way online. But you can call him. And what is that number? One more time, please.
609, of course, 609-957-0441.
And that's Atlantic City residents
Thanks,
only.
Please.
Real quick, because I want to respect your time. Talk to me about Patty Harris. I believe she was in your ward as well, right?
She certainly was. Yes, her and her husband Dave. Yeah.
Yes.
Patty Harris, as I said in the article, in the press article, was a icon and a community influencer before the words were even used. But Tyler, as you know, in addition to being a dancer in the Club Harlem days, the Club Harlem Glory days, she had a dance studio. She taught many generations of young people the finer parts of dance. She was a person who was involved in the arts movement, who was concerned about art. And who was beloved, I would say. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say Patty Harris was beloved.
Indeed.
And admired, and she lived a life of giving and service to people, and she'll be sorely missed. She left a giant footprint in Atlantic City. And that's what the council said. We had a resolution for her unanimously given at her passing. And she was a great person, tremendous support of the arts. And we need more Patty Harris, as I would say.
Well, I'm an artist. I'm also on the Arts Commission. So I have, even before her passing, I've been trying to live up to that legacy. This is what I wrote. People throw the word icon around a lot these days. If anybody has ever extended their 15 minutes of fame to 20 minutes, they want to label them an icon. But Patty Harris was an icon in every sense of the word, especially in the fact that she has generations, not one generation, many generations of artists and more than dance.
Oh yeah.
And more
I
than
only mentioned dance because that was her studio.
That was her field of study.
Right.
But she was so iconic that she influenced people who've gone on to be photographers, poets, singers. And I tell this story, and I'm gonna keep on telling it. Whenever I would introduce young people, young artists to her, she would do like she did when she first met me. She'd grab them by the hand, look them in the eye, and say, "Now you keep on keeping on." That's the last thing she would say before she let them go.
Right.
Now you're a
Ralph
James
Peterson
fan as
Jr.
well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ralph Peterson Jr., you wanted to say something about?
Yes, sir. I was about to say you're a jazz man.
Right.
So even though he's from over the bridge in Pleasantville, I can say it. I love that brother. I love the father.
Talent. Yeah. Big talent.
Big talent.
Gone too soon. 58 years old. I am, as you said, a big jazz fan. One of the things that I missed from the virus, Councilman Randolph and I were talking about this. He's a jazz fan too. We went to the Hard Rock Jazz concert that they had not last summer, before last.
Right.
They were supposed to have they had a 1 day. They're supposed to have a 2 day. Of course, the virus knocked it out.
Right.
I'm kind of sure they're not going to have it this summer, maybe next summer.
Right.
Ralph Peterson made his mark in jazz. And even though he's from Pleasantville, we forgive him for being from Pleasantville. But he again, towering talent, instructor, brother,
Yes.
outstanding musician, and I don't words fail me, but like I say, he'll be missed also in not only in jazz circles, but just in people
His
who know him. He
smile,
was a good
man.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just seems, it seems like not too long ago I was at his father's funeral,
Yeah.
and yeah, definitely gone too soon, and a brother who will be missed. And so you've been listening to The Light. My name is Raymond Tyler. He is brother Kaleem Shabazz. Anything you want to say before I let you go, sir?
Just want to say to everyone, please, when your time comes, take the vaccine, whether it's Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson. Again, as Brother Tyler underlined, and I support him 100%, the vaccine is accessible. The vaccine is free. Don't let anybody try to tell you that there's a charge for the fee. It's a fee to get the vaccine, or there's a charge to help you get on the list or anything like that. All that's false. Everything is free. The goal is to get people vaccinated. That's what we want to do. When you go out, please wear your mask. Wash your hands frequently. Keep your distance. And let's all, regardless of our faith, whatever our faith is, let's all pray that we come to the end of this virus sooner rather than later. Prayer always works, no matter what your religious expression is. No matter even if you are a humanist and you don't express a religious preference, but we have to work together and stay together to move forward. Well, Tyler, I appreciate it. I'd like to come back and make an update at some point on this, because we're going to be fighting this fight. It's not going to end. It's not like TV. It ends in a half hour, and everybody walks off. We're going to be fighting this for months, and I'm afraid, like I said about those long haulers, those people, they're going to be dealing with this for years, the impact that they had. So my thing is, you don't want to get this COVID-19. Please don't listen to political people, to conspiracy people. You don't want to get COVID-19. And I'm telling you that the way that you can prevent it is to take a vaccine, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson.
Well, thank you for discussing that, and more importantly, discussing the disparities in our community with COVID-19, the vaccinations, the vaccination process, accessibility, the digital divide, and making sure that our young people, our students, are still able to access breakfast and lunch programs during these hard times. I really appreciate it. This has been The Light, and again, I want to thank the Center for Cooperative Media for the role that they played. And and we should talk offline in case we do have to work together on some type of forum as we did on the census.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, bro.
God bless.
Yes, sir. Thank you.